There is a company in Silicon Valley that just tripled its revenue in 15 months, and it did it by convincing the biggest corporations on Earth to spend less money on artificial intelligence. Read that again. In a year when every AI startup is screaming about doing more, building bigger, and burning faster, this one quietly grew to $300 million a year by promising to shrink your bill. Its name is Glean, and as of late May 2026 it is valued at roughly $7.2 billion. But the valuation is not the number that should stop you. There is a single, quiet statistic buried in its growth report that tells you exactly where the entire AI economy is heading next, and most people scrolling past the headline missed it completely. I will get to that number. But first you need to understand a trap that almost every other AI company just walked straight into. Rewind to the start of this AI boom. The pitch from almost every company was the same: buy our tool, add this model, plug in that assistant, and you will do more. More content, more code, more output. So companies did. They signed up for everything. Marketing got an AI tool, engineering got 3, support got 2, and finance quietly watched the invoices pile up. By early 2026, something shifted. The bills came due, and they were enormous. Chief information officers, the executives who actually sign off on software spending, started doing something they had not done during the hype: they began auditing. Every AI subscription now had to justify itself. Where is the return? What does this actually save us? Which of these 40 tools do we even still use? Suddenly the magic word in enterprise technology was not capability. It was cost. And almost every AI vendor was built to sell the opposite story. That is the trap. They optimized their entire pitch for a world that just ended. So who is Glean, and why did it walk through that minefield untouched? On the surface, Glean is enterprise search. Think of a giant company with information scattered everywhere, documents in one system, conversations in another, tickets, wikis, spreadsheets, code, all of it locked in separate silos. Glean connects to those silos and lets an employee ask a question in plain language and get an answer pulled from across the entire organization, with the context of who they are and what they are allowed to see. That sounds simple, almost boring, next to the flashy AI tools that write poems and generate images. But here is the thing about boring infrastructure: it becomes impossible to remove. And the data backs that up. More than 85% of Glean's customers now use it across 5 or more departments. It stopped being a tool that one team trials and quietly drops. It became the layer the whole company runs on top of. Hold on to that idea, because it is the key to the statistic I promised you. Now here is the move that made Glean different. While other vendors were still selling expansion, more seats, more features, more spend, Glean walked into the chief information officer's office and made the opposite argument. Their pitch became consolidation. Instead of buying 12 overlapping AI tools, run them through one platform that already has the context of your whole company. And they attached a hard, specific claim to it: their platform reportedly uses about 30% fewer tokens than comparable alternatives. If that phrase means nothing to you, here is the translation. Tokens are the unit you pay for every time an AI model thinks. Fewer tokens for the same work means a directly lower bill. So in a room full of executives who are nervous about runaway AI costs, Glean did not show up with a benchmark about being smarter. It showed up with a number that said, "We will cut roughly a third off your inference costs." In 2026, that sentence opens doors that a capability chart never could. So let me finally give you the statistic. Glean's revenue did not just grow. It went from $100 million in annual recurring revenue in early 2025, to $200 million by December, to $300 million by late May 2026. That is a tripling in roughly 15 months. For comparison, the fastest software companies of the last decade took years to cover that same ground. But the number that matters most is not the revenue itself. It is this: Glean nearly doubled its Fortune 500 customer count year over year, in the exact period when those same Fortune 500 companies were cutting AI budgets. Sit with that. The buyers were tightening their belts, and Glean's slice of the largest companies in the world still nearly doubled. That only happens when you are no longer the expense being cut. You are the thing doing the cutting. The audit that killed dozens of AI vendors was the same audit that handed Glean its biggest customers. Zoom out, because this is bigger than one company. For 3 years, the entire AI industry ran on a single assumption, that the winners would be whoever had the most powerful model and the most impressive demo. Capability was king. What Glean's run quietly proves is that the market has matured past that phase. The new battleground is not who is most impressive. It is who is most justifiable. When a CIO has to defend every line of the AI budget to a board, the tool that wins is the one with a clean, provable return. This is the same pattern every technology goes through. The early years reward novelty and raw power. The maturing years reward efficiency, integration, and trust. We just watched AI cross that line in real time. And the companies still selling pure spectacle, still leading with how clever their model is rather than how much it saves, are about to find that the room has gone cold. Here is why this should matter to you even if you will never run an enterprise software company. The lesson scales all the way down to a one-person business. If you build anything with AI, a service, a small tool, an automation you sell to local businesses, the instinct is to lead with what it can do. More, faster, fancier. Glean's whole story is a reminder that in 2026 the more powerful pitch is often what it saves. Reframe the same product. Instead of, my system writes your content, try, my system replaces the 4 tools you are currently overpaying for. Instead of, this does more, try, this costs you less and does the part that actually matters. Cost reduction is a pitch a nervous buyer says yes to even in a tight year, because it survives the audit. The builders quietly winning right now are not the ones with the flashiest AI. They are the ones who can point at a real invoice and say, I will make this number smaller. So here is where it leaves us. Glean did not win by being the loudest voice in the AI gold rush. It won by reading the room 1/4 ahead of everyone else, and by understanding that when the money gets nervous, the company that promises savings beats the company that promises magic. $300 million a year, a tripling in 15 months, and a near doubling of its biggest customers, all built on the most unglamorous pitch in technology: spend less. The next time you see an AI product, do not ask whether it is impressive. Ask whether it survives an audit. That single question is now the line between the companies that last and the ones that quietly disappear. If breaking down the real moves behind the biggest AI businesses is the kind of thing you want more of, this channel exists for exactly that, so consider subscribing and I will see you in the next breakdown.